Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday night. That means it's time for another edition of Psalm Spotlight. My name is Craig Smolders, joined as always by Rob Young. Good evening, Rob Young. How are you tonight, sir?
Great, Craig. How you doing?
I am awesome. It's been a rainy, miserable day, but that's okay. We had a really nice weekend. We got some work done at the track, so we're getting things ready to go. What do you think about that?
Well, temperatures getting up there, and we just need some dry weather so that Henry and all you guys out there can get that track ready to go. I know we've had to push the practice and opening night up a little bit there. Just too wet, can't get anything done.
Nope,
Hopefully, we'll get it going.
exactly. Yep, exactly. All we need is a nice steady breeze out here and some sunshine, and we'll be good to go. So hopefully we can do that. Tonight we are going to be talking to late model driver number 34, late model Jimmy Jones. We're going to be talking to him a little bit. But before we get into that, I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about first. The first thing I would like to mention is the car shows that we have coming up on Saturday, May 28th in Chatham. That's Retro Fest. All cars are welcome. They have a big area there for us to set up in. If you want to show off your cars, that's going to be Saturday, May 28th in Chatham, downtown Chatham, and then Sunday, July 3rd in West Lorne at Miller Park. They're also going to have a area set up for us. That's a Sunday morning, Sunday, July 3rd. They'll have an area for us to set up if you want to come out and show your cars off in that area. The other thing that we have coming up is we also have the market on Friday, May 6th for the Friday opening night of the mini stocks, the practice and the mini stocks on our Friday nights. Friday, May 6th, we're going to have the Fan Zone Friday market. So make sure you're coming out to check out that. If you want to get involved in that, if you want to be a vendor, reach out to Craig Smolders or Angela Young Bonner, and we will get you all set up with that. That's going to be every Friday from 4 until 8 p.m. Opening night, that's also coming up. Opening night is going to be May 6th, Friday, May 6th for practice, and the mini stocks will take the track at 8 o'clock. And then on Saturday, May 7th, the rest of the classes will be coming out. The racing will begin at 7 o'clock, but opening ceremonies will begin at 6 o'clock on that evening. The final thing I want to tell you about is our junior fan coordinator, Lauren Bonner. I guess we don't have a slide for that. That's okay. Lauren Bonner, she's our junior fan coordinator. She's looking after all that. She's looking for drivers to get involved in all the junior fan stuff. So make sure you're reaching out to her and get involved in that. And swap meet, April 29th and 30th. That's this Friday and Saturday. We are definitely going to be having the swap meet. As far as practice goes, we're going to make a final decision on that on Thursday, but for sure we are having the swap meet on Friday, April 29th and Saturday, April 30th. So make sure you're checking out all that. I think I got through it all. So now we are ready to begin our interview. Let's get Jimmy Jones in here and have a little chat with him. Good evening, Mr. Jimmy Jones. How are you tonight?
Good evening. Great. Yourself?
Oh,
Great, Jimmy.
I am wonderful. We are all good. We're getting ready for the race season. What about you? You getting things ready to go? What's going on at Jimmy Jones's shop over there?
Yes, the car is ready to go. It's pretty much just down to when it's race day, getting everything in the trailer and including the car and then heading out there.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you. Rob, do you have anything you want to open up with before I start firing off my questions here?
Well, Jimmy, it's an honor to have you on here. When I first went to Raceland Speedway in 1980, you were in the late model division. I know there's a picture of that car coming up here, and to be speaking with you now, what's this, like 46 years later, just about, or 40 some odd years. I feel like I'm in the presence of not only the bad fast grandpa, but the godfather of the late model division. So I am the one who was honored here, my friend. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about it.
All right. We'll do our best.
All right, here we go. So, Jimmy, I guess the first thing I want to know is, as a young kid, were you always into racing growing up, or were you playing other stick and ball sports, hockey, baseball, anything else, or was it always racing for you growing up?
Well, I was a chubby kid, so I didn't run and do baseball or nothing like that. So racing was my sport, yes. Right from messing around on go-karts on the farm and right into a car.
Okay, awesome. How did you actually get interested in racing? Was it just watching it on TV, coming out to the track? How did all that work out for you?
Well, back in those days, TV, you had 3 channels, and I don't think racing was even one of them. So,
I don't know
it
when
was
it
like
started.
when I was just young, of course, early teens is when the track was being built, and I lived just down one. You might as well say, if you talk city, like a couple blocks away from the racetrack. So seeing it being built, and my dad was always, he used to always go to other tracks and watch races and stuff. So ones that are no longer around, and so of course that snowballed into me going to the races. And well, then next thing you know, turned old enough to get a car, and he was right there by my side for years and years and years. And that's how we got going.
Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, that car is the one I remember Jimmy driving, and I don't know if that's a was that a Malibu or a Chevelle back in the day, Jim?
71 Chevelle.
There you go. But what I distinctly remember about that car is the steering wheel was on a bit more of an angle. It was more like a sprint car or something like that.
Almost like a bus.
Yeah, like to see you wheel that thing around there, that was pretty neat to see from the grandstands because you could see right inside those cars and you could see you wheeling the thing. So that's what I remember about that. And yeah, that's the first car I remember seeing you.
Yeah, that car there, I bought that off of Ed McKinley. I don't know if you remember him or not.
Nope.
Well, and Al McCulley drove that car the year before I bought it. You
And
remember
that was a
Al?
late model. So
Yeah.
that because just so that the people, some of the younger generation wouldn't think of that. They looked at like that as more of a what our street stocks might look like now, but that was a late model back in the day.
Yes.
That's how they were. A floater. Some of them you had the 8 stud wheels right out of a yeah. Heavy stuff so it wouldn't break, and you reinforced your own rims. You didn't have a speed shop you could go to buy a lot of that stuff at. You made your own stuff back in the day.
Yes, that's true. There wasn't all the fancy things that you could just go out and buy, and a lot of the suspension stuff you go out to the auto wreckers and you'd buy it and
Yep.
fix
Yep.
it up.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I'll turn it back over to Craig.
So that was 1976. That car. That's when you started racing. Was 1976.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
And that was your first car there.
very first car. I had that chassis, that car, that maybe new body skins on it or whatever but you didn't replace them as often either back then. But I drove that car right from 76 right up to 83.
Okay, awesome. So Jimmy, I'm just curious, like how did you actually get started? Like you just all of a sudden, you one day you said, "Hey, I'm going to go racing," or were you running around the pits or hanging around the grandstands? How did you actually get started? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, I guess all of the above that you just said. Like it was a combination of being at the races, watching, having favorite drivers, and getting the itch there, and then before I got this car, I don't know, this is way before your time, but Doc Emerson was a local racer out there too, and he had a coupe. Well, he ended up storing it at our farm, and for quite a long time. And then it's like when it came time, are you going to come and get your car? He said, "Oh, I'll just have it." Well, I was going to originally put that thing together. And then it got to the point where Dad says, no, we don't want to go this way. I think it was more because he didn't like the open wheels for me starting out in. So then that's, like I said, we found that car for sale and purchased it for $700 rolling. Then I had to get an engine built up. Was going to run just a stock 307. But when I went to get it fired up and ready to go, it had little minor troubles or whatever that just wasn't worth. And the mechanic at that time that kind of tuned in things for us, he says, you'd be better off just to take it out to McCorkle's and get them to build you up a little race engine. So for another $650, I had a race engine. Now you can't buy a wheel.
That's awesome. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, and again, this is for a lot of the younger guys that don't know about Jimmy, but Jimmy does build his own engines. Okay, so yeah, they're race engines, but he has the machining done, but he assembles them all. And I mentioned to Jimmy that I don't ever remember him having like an engine failure, but he always had stout stuff. And Jimmy's kind of the all in one. The package you get is the driver. He's the mechanic. He's the engine builder. He's the tuner. He does it all, and that's what a lot of guys were way back then. They didn't have special people to do their tires and stuff. Jimmy did it all then, and he does it all now. So that is something that you're to be commended for, Jim. Doing it all on your own, and keeping up with all of these high tech chassis and motors and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right there with them.
Well, we try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we try.
I'll turn it back over to Craig.
So 1976, you got your first feature win in 1976, your first year, did you not?
Yes, it was later. The feature was later on that year. The very first win was a heat race, was 3 weeks into racing.
Really? How many cars were you racing against in a feature?
Oh,
you remember roughly?
So I think back then we had like 20 cars.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So you raced that one for a few years. You got your first heat win and first feature win in 76. Did you do anything else in that car? Were you successful, or how were the first few seasons for you?
Well, just pretty much right in there, like a top 5, top 10 for throughout all the years. So like to think of a whole bunch of memories of that old car and the years of it. That's going back.
Yeah.
And I'm getting older, so the memories just ain't as smart going way back there like that.
All right. We won't make you think that hard. We'll just keep the questions easy for you. How's that?
Okay. Well, okay, that's good.
Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, Jimmy mentioned Bruce McCorkle and and his son Dave, and we have the Dave McCorkle Memorial Race coming up. But those guys were so when it came to building engines in this area, if you could have a McCorkle engine, you about had the race won before you got there. But it's nice to have stuff that you can depend on. And I know, as I said, Jimmy builds his own engines. When you don't have to worry about that, then you can work on the chassis. It makes things a whole lot easier. And like I say, Jimmy being the whole package is really a cool thing when you can do everything on that car.
It's all about learning, yeah. Like if it's something you don't know how to do, learn how to do it.
Yep,
absolutely. All right, so carrying on there, we're going to go to your first upgrade, I guess. 1984, you upgrade to an unlimited late model. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? How was your first year? How was the learning curve? Was it different? Was it the same? How did all that work out?
Well, it was quite a bit faster going to that because the engines, of course, evolved quite a bit from the before picture. That car there, I bought it from Don Malott in Windsor, and when he had it, it was a red Corvette. So we pretty much bought it with front suspension, and that rear end that's in it was the one transferred out of the other old car, like say the big old heavy floater rear end. So that year there, it was, but you went to you recoil, like screw jacks and all that for setup. And so, but it was a lighter chassis and all that too. It wasn't like a regular Chevelle or stuff like that anymore. It was back when they started getting into the fabricated chassis. So,
okay. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, I remember that car that Don Malott had. Yeah, it was a Corvette body. Really cool looking car. He did very well with it. Um, I think it was a fiberglass body, but that was would have been the beginning of a lot of those wedge cars. I'm looking at Curtis Coulter's car down there, the big wings. Jimmy has a big wing on there to help with the to help the car turn better. They went through a whole phase like that, of all that, of all the Lexan and big spoilers and stuff. Maybe Jimmy can share some of those stories.
Yeah, I don't like. It's hard to prove whether or not the big act. Well, then you got Bill Walters that had the really big wing on his
Yeah.
car, but I don't know if I really noticed a whole lot of difference when I threw that wing on the center of the or like on the car there, or if it was more just a thing to make them look cool or something back
Yeah.
then. But it was all, you didn't do a whole lot of different setup things on them cars back in those days. Nothing like you do now. So you just had, well, you didn't have all the adjustments to do. So like you pretty much went out there, you did tire pressures and tire stagger and weight, well, you set them up with a beer bottle. Like that's really, it's true. Like for set
Yeah.
frame heights and your tire pressures and sizes, and that was it. Away you went.
Yep. If you were tight, you put more rear tire stagger to it, and if you're loose, you got rid of the rear tire stagger.
Yeah.
And that was one of your bigger adjustments. But when Jimmy says they evolved, they went from like a Camaro or a Chevelle front clip to a tubular front clip. They were full race cars. I think a lot of those cars were first and second design Howe cars, and there was a lot of them. It's like you could buy those late models pretty cheap after a couple of years, and you had a real race car. So it was it was pretty cool. So yeah, I'll turn it back to Craig because he's probably got something else he wants to get on to there.
Okay.
Well, first, before we carry on here, I see a couple checker flags there. How was the 1984 season for you? Did you win features, heats? How did that work out for you?
I won a few features, yes, that year. Like there was between me, Bill Walters, of course, he won quite a few. Brent Gibbons, Curtis, like you see in the picture there. Don Hendricks was out there too. So like, there was some tough competition there. So
Yep, for sure. All right, let's carry on here. We're going to change the paint scheme. 1985 rolls around, and you're getting ready to go. You got a different paint scheme. You got a different looking car. You want to talk about? Actually, before we go into that, first thing I want to ask you: number 34. How did you come up with the number 34?
one number higher than my original favorite driver.
And who's your original favorite driver?
Freddie Chambers.
Oh, awesome. All right, so this is 1985. You want to talk about your 1985 season? What was good? What wasn't good? Do you remember? What you don't remember?
1985. Well, it was still that same chassis as the 84, but it had upgrades done to it. It had coilover suspension put into it, where we took it to Burt McCall in Wheatley to have all that done. And switched it to single leaf rear coilover suspension. Made a difference. Like the car handled a heck of a lot better. We actually spent it and went and got a first quick change back then too in that year. And like I say, it was still the same thing. We still were up against like Walters and Perfoda and all those guys. So like, I know I wanted a few features that year as well. Like there's actually videos to prove it. So
there are videos floating around, eh?
yes.
Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, Jimmy mentioned about, and Craig, you asked how many cars were in the features. Back in those days, they only really had two divisions. They had the street stock division, which was supposed to be your entry level, and then you had the late model division. So there was usually a lot more cars. When Jimmy says there was about 20, and some nights there could be 25 cars in the field. So there was quite a few. I was thinking when I knew we were going to speak with Jimmy, I was thinking about a lot of the guys that Jimmy raced against that back in the day that I remember were heroes of mine. He mentioned Don Hendricks, but there was Brent Gibbons, Bill and Jack Walters, the Atkinsons, Bill Profota, John Reynolds, Curtis Coulter, as you saw in the other picture, Brett Riem, Kirk Hooker. A lot of those guys they're not racing anymore, but yet Jimmy's still here. He's been there every year since 1976. So he doesn't when he's got the name the Bad Fast Grandpa. Yeah, he is the grandfather of the late model division. A lot of us look up to Jimmy and respect him. He's man, if you can be in a field of cars and you can beat Jimmy Jones, you're really doing something. So he's sort of the benchmark that a lot of us we kind of gauge ourselves on. At least I know I did when I first got in there. If I could run with Jimmy Jones, I knew I was doing something. So yeah, it's really cool to have Jimmy out there still. So anyway, I'll turn it back over to you, Craig.
All right, so 1986 rolls around, and we're gonna have a little bit of a body change and some make change. You want to talk about some of the changes that you went through in 1986?
Well, it was just another one of those fiberglass bodies. Like it was still the Daytona style, like the year before. It was still the same car. A few different sponsors on it, and that bottom picture doesn't do it justice at all. That was, I guess I must have been. I remember that I must have been in the way of Bill Walters or something, because he decided to try to drive through me instead of under. Yeah. But because if you know me for years and years and almost every year, I got the term where it's more like a bottom feeder. So if you can get underneath of me, you must be going through the infield.
Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, yeah, he's I don't know what I mean. I've seen Jimmy run just about anywhere on the track, but if you got in Bill Walters' way back in the day, yeah, he'd be moving you. That was he was exciting to watch, wasn't he? I think they called him Wild Bill Walters back then.
Bill Walters, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed. Okay, so did you always run like a Chevy motor, Jimmy? You mentioned to me that you had worked for a Chrysler dealership at one time before Lube Tech, but is that all you ever ran, was a Chevy engine?
Yes.
So always
Chevy related, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah,
easier to find parts and yeah, easier to build and guaranteed to have the power. All right, I'll turn it back over to you, Craig.
All right, so this is 1986. I guess you raced this car for a few more years before you carried on. Were you successful? Do you remember how was I don't know, I guess 1986, 87, 88, 89, 90? What kind of things did you do out on the track in those years?
Oh, like say, yeah, it was right up in there with them running, right with the group. I'm pretty sure at least one feature each one of those years. So
awesome.
Time just kind of flew by.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess just kind of an off question here. Up until this point, do you have a memory that you're really fond of, a racing memory that you remember, something that you're really excited about for the the first part of your career or whatever?
Okay, up to this point, okay.
Yeah.
The back with that Corvette, there was a night where a guy came from Humberstone, the top runner from Humberstone, Ron Harrington, the 711 car, wedge style car. And I was the only local that was able to hold him off, and I won that feature. I didn't win by much, but I won.
They don't ask how, they ask how many, right?
What's that?
I said they don't ask how, they ask how many, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Nope. I just, as I say, Jimmy is You're a first-class racer. I know racing against you, you always give everybody the room that they need to race, and that's how you've gained the respect that you have over the years. Is you're a real good, clean racer, and just knowing you, you're an honest guy, and I think the fans see that, and they enjoy being a fan of Jimmy Jones. That's for sure. So. Actually, would you ask somebody about racing at Buxton? They'll always make reference to Jimmy Jones because he's the guy. He's the guy who's been out there forever. And if you know Jimmy Jones, oh, you know Jimmy Jones, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. You're a very well respected guy, and I've enjoyed racing against you. It was only for a couple years, but it's always been a pleasure, Jim. So I'll turn it back over to Craig.
All right, so 1991 rolls around, and we got a little bit of an oopsie there, I guess. Do you want to talk about why that picture came about?
Yeah, that was the end result of a Wednesday night race out at Buxton. It was back when they had those dirt series going on, where you traveled various tracks. Well, it ended up being on a Wednesday night. It was hot, dry for quite a while, and well, the track was really dry, and it got so dusty that you could not see, like you were just out there and aiming it. And I don't know, I remember touching wheels with somebody, and next thing you know, I guess I was told I did a silhouette on my nose. I had 5 cars come through and hit on their way through. That was kind of the end result, that picture.
Man, oh man. Were you hurt? Were you injured? Were you shook up at all?
Nope.
No, it just got out. Man, that's wild because that car does not look very nice at all.
No, that car, that chassis, that was pretty much the end of that one. I had to get a different chassis because she was bent in spots that you just weren't going to fix.
Okay. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, you know, I'm kind of giggling about this because I remember, I know how frightening it is to be in a race car on a dusty night when you can't see anything. But one night in particular, I remember where the track was so dusty, you'd get yourself into turn 3, and you're kind of holding your breath, and finally you'd see this green light that they used to have on the wall coming just as you got out of turn 4, and okay, now we know where the wall is, and you get back to gas. But it's no fun racing like that.
No.
And for the fans would look and say, well, I don't, it doesn't look that dusty from up here. But when you're in the car and that dust and you get dust on your on your visor and everything, you can't see a thing. And it's pretty scary. And sometimes a wreck like the one Jimmy was in there, all of a sudden you're in it and nobody else can see anything. And and that's the end result. And to be there, I can identify with what you're saying. I've been there. That's no fun at all. But anyway, all right, I'll turn it back over to you, Craig.
All right, so I just want to talk about this for a second because I'm always amazed. I've never done any racing myself. I'm always amazed when a driver can walk out of a car that looks like that. When something like that happens, Jimmy, I mean, especially back in those days when all the safety equipment and stuff just wasn't there or isn't up to the part that it is today, are you feeling around to make sure everything's okay? Like, I mean, they didn't have concussion protocol and all that stuff back then, but are you feeling around, make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to be? Or what do you think when you come to a rest after something like that?
Well, yeah, you make sure you can still move everything. And I think that. But I think one of the first things you're doing is thinking about, let me out of here. Then you look at the car and then you go, well, I'm not going to say what you say then. But.
All right. So I guess we have a little video here we want to show you. It's going to be in the 90s somewhere. I don't know exactly when. Oh, we're not seeing it.
It was dark that night.
I guess it was. I guess the lights went out that night. That's okay. We'll post it later on in the Facebook group. So I guess we're going to jump ahead now to 2004. We're going to go into a new millennium. Looks like we got a different looking race car out there, but still the number 34. Talk about 2004. This is a points battle. Talk about this a little bit, Jimmy.
Yeah, this was a well, 2004, that was my very first, well, in 03, I got my very first Masters built. And that's the same chassis, just of course, different body and paint scheme on it. And that underneath of me, there's Gerald Giroux. And we battled back and forth for the points title all year long. It's like I'd get out in the lead, and then the next week I'd have something silly happen, and he'd win, and he'd get out in the lead. Like, it was right down to the wire. But it was a fun battle.
Who ended up winning?
Me.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, that's sort of the one. And now Jimmy's talking about going to a real race car. It's his first Masters built. I think Jimmy told me that the one he runs now is a 2013 Generation X. So I guess he likes those cars. He's comfortable with them. But yeah, those are, wide fives all the way around, quick change rear end. He mentioned about going from the conventional coils to coilovers, and as we go on, Jimmy will talk about a lot of the new technology and how fast these cars are. But that was sort of like the beginning of the dirt late model chassis. So yeah, nice looking car.
For sure. So I just want to step away here for a second from the racing, just for a minute, Jimmy. What kind of things does Jimmy Jones like to do for fun when Jimmy Jones isn't racing or working on the race car? What kind of things you like to do for fun?
Well, all depends on what time of the year it is. Through the winter now, of course, I got grandchildren, and 3 of the boys are into hockey, so we try to get out and watch a few of their games, and then obviously, as you could tell from that, I also enjoy watching dirt late model racing throughout the winter at all the various tracks over in the States, Florida, wherever they're at. And then through the summer, every chance we get, the daughters, they play in the ball teams, so we like to go out and spend a couple hours out there watching them play ball and root them on. So
awesome. Well, we're just looking at a picture of your 3 screens that you posted the other day on Facebook. I guess it was watching all the races. So I guess that pretty well sums up what you do like to do when you're not racing, I guess.
Yeah. I enjoy watching that because there's a lot of action in those big time runners, as I call them. So
yeah. Rob, do you have any questions or comments about that?
Yeah, most guys don't have 3, but Jimmy has 3 different screens on the go, and I see there's 3 different keyboards. But I'm looking at all that power supply stuff up above that one screen and thinking,
I'm not an electrician. I don't hide my wires that well.
Nope. And then if you look over to the left up on that wall, those are all the little things that looks like probably some part numbers and stuff for those things he needs for his race car. I see there's a Wix filter sticker, and yeah, I've got a bunch of that stuff too. You never want to forget a part number, especially when you find that right universal joint, or you put it somewhere where you can remember, right there close by where the phone is.
You can write it down in a book, but then you'll lose the book. So that's why I put it right on the wall. So the only way I'm going to lose that is if the wall falls down. And
that's the same filing system I have. It works great.
Yeah.
All right, Craig.
You just got to remember what part of the shop to look at on the wall.
Yeah.
All right, so let's carry on here with the racing now. I guess we're going to jump ahead to 2017, and you got yourself a very bright paint scheme there. That is some kind of yellow. Talk about your 2017 season a little bit, Jimmy.
I'd like to forget that year.
Oh, was that not a good year for you?
Well, that was a different chassis. It was a Masters built still, but it was one that wasn't all still original Masters built measurements. It had been repaired and wasn't put back the way it really should have been. And I could never make that car work. Like, no matter what you threw at it, it just would not go around like say the one I have now or the one that I had before that car. So yeah, I kicked myself in the butt for getting rid of the old car prior to that chassis, but we tried to make them look decent, but still looks didn't make it go any faster.
No, that doesn't, does it? Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, I'm looking at, don't know what part of the, I realize this is the back straightaway because I can see the back straightaway tower there. So I don't know if he's getting out of the gas, but normally back there you would burp the throttle and get right back in it. But it doesn't look like that, the rear steer in the car is working all that well. So that's no fun when the car won't turn.
No.
And you don't know what to do because, as you said, it may have been this has been added, that's been added, and it's nice to have a chassis that everything's where it's supposed to be, and you can go to a book and you know what size radius rods to use and what hole to put them in, and it's nice. I know the last chassis I had was a Rocket, and when everything's where it's supposed to be, and you go to Rocket's book, and that's it. This is where you should put this arm, and then the thing works. It's pretty cool. You have a base to go by, but it's no fun when something doesn't happen. I'll share a little story about that. I had a chassis a couple years ago, and I had the wrong rack and pinion steering, not box. It was a rack and pinion system, and it was a sweet system, but it was more for like a larger track. It didn't turn very well. And so I was constantly chasing that thing, but I didn't know that it had the wrong rack in it. And had I just changed the rack, now when you turn that wheel, you turn it a half a turn, and that's about all you need. Well, I was really wheeling this thing, and it didn't dawn on me till late in the season that, well, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe that I'm chasing the car all the time. But I know that feeling, Jimmy, when a thing doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and not the right pieces aren't there, and it's so much nicer when it does what it's supposed to do. So
exactly.
Anyway,
yeah.
All right, Craig.
All right, so I won't ask you how you made out in that season because I think you already answered that question. We'll just jump right ahead to 2018. We'll go to
easy answer. I didn't make out that season.
All right, so how about 2018? How did that work out for you?
2018 was going back onto the better side of things, but like I say, it's still, like I say, it's been kind of an underdog on all these years here. Like it's hard to keep up with the brand new technology, but all in all, I don't think I won a feature that year, but I'm trying to think 2000. No, I don't think I won a feature. I likely won a heat race or two, but that'd be about the size of it for that year.
Okay. All right. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, I spoke to Jimmy about this night. I don't remember too many years where he didn't win a feature in all those years. I know obviously heat races and stuff like that, but when I think about Jimmy's career in the late model division, there was, again, not too many years that he didn't win a feature. And then I know that you said this was 2018, and then coming up we had all this COVID stuff. So I'll turn it back over to Craig, and he'll move through that stuff.
Yeah, but before we carry on that, I just want to talk about that top picture because I know you got a huge support system behind you and everything that you do in all of your racing. Do you want to talk about how the family side of racing, how in your family and all those people that are really close to you, having them around helping you out? You want to talk about those people just a little bit?
Well, yeah, it's very important to have your family involved and wife involved and friends for years that are involved, and so like without a lot of the support there, well, it'd be kind of hard to keep going. But like, what's that? Well, and of course then you got the grandkids out there and the daughters, and they're all out there, yelling and screaming in the grandstands. Of course, we can't hear them, but they're there.
Yep, for sure. Okay, so here's a question for you. Who do you think's going to take over the driver's seat whenever you finally say that's enough? Is it going to be a daughter or is it going to go right to a grandchild? What do you think?
Wow.
Is that a tough one, Jimmy?
Wow. There's quite a few years to go before our grandchild's ready to hop into one. But I really don't know how to answer that question yet. I can't think that it'd be a daughter hopping into it, but never know.
Yep, for sure. All right, we'll let you off the hook on that one. Rob, do you have any questions about any of that?
Well, Jimmy's my age. He's going to be 62 years old, and that's how old I am. And I couldn't have told you when I would have stopped racing. And I'll be quite honest with you that maybe if things were different, I might want to get back out there again. But I realize that I can't do the things that I might have done at one time. And my biggest problem is the maintenance, just washing the car. I know that Brenda washes your car for you every Sunday and keeps it nice and clean. Yeah, and I know she grinds all your tires.
I named Brenda, do I?
I'm just teasing him, but it does take a lot. I found that just washing the car was a big chore for me. Took about all afternoon on Sunday to get all the mud off of it, and you can't work on it unless you get it clean, right? So I'm convinced. I'm sure Brenda washes that car for you. It can't be that clean with you washing it. No way.
Ask her.
All
so
right,
Brenda,
go
Brenda
ahead.
right there? Ask Brenda if she washes the car.
Nope, I just help unload it.
Okay, well, at least that's something.
Yeah.
All right, Craig, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so I do want to know who is washing the car then. Is that you?
Yep.
All right, awesome. We got that all cleared.
Sunday afternoons usually.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's carry on here. We're clicking through the years. 2020. Now, my information telling me this is a beauty contest winner. Do you want to explain what that means?
Well, that car there is the 2013 car.
You
Okay.
got
And it did win Best Appearing. That's the year 2013 is the year I actually won a championship race with the little motor. And that's the one there where Dale Glassford was leading and I was second. And then he ended up having a fuel pump belt fall off or something. And so then I took over the lead and led right to the end. So that was good.
Awesome. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
well, it's no fun that somebody drops out but in Dale's case, it's hard to beat him anyway. But having a failure and you being right there to capitalize, that's a sweet win, especially a championship
Yep.
night win. You got that trophy, and you were the best man on that night, and everybody lines up points where you got the top point guy in the front on the front row, and if you can win a points championship race, that's pretty stout.
Yeah.
But that's Jimmy's style.
Yep, for sure.
Be there lurking in the midst.
That's right.
All right, Jimmy. So we're approaching the COVID years here. I guess the track is shut down. You can't race. I mean, they had spotty races here and there, but what kind of stuff did you do to keep yourself busy, keep yourself sharp during the COVID years? Did you do some iRacing? Did you do some racing here and there? I know they were racing at Brighton, Humberstone, or whatever. What did you do to keep yourself busy and sharp, Jimmy?
Well, the year of COVID, like we're obviously that was the year Henry was redoing the track, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then he had some practice nights right towards the end of that summer. But prior to that, we made a couple trips to Brighton, Humberstone. I don't think Oswego had anything that year. So that was pretty much it as far as the racing. And well, just like anybody else, there wasn't really nothing else you could go do. So No, iRacing. No, I'm no good at that. No.
Have you tried it?
Get it? I'm glad I don't drive my race car in real life like I do in that iRacing, because I'd be broke for sure within one day.
Rob, do you have any questions about that?
I can identify with that. I'm no good on the as an iRacer either. But the cool thing is if you wreck, the car comes off the wall
Yeah.
in perfect condition, and
Yeah.
you're right back in it again, right? That doesn't happen in real
Fly
life.
it through the air and whirl around and smash through 5 or 6 cars, and your car's ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess that's the world we live in. All this technology and stuff like that. But so anyway, Jimmy says the car's all ready to go for 2022 here, and we'll see how things roll. We've got a few changes at the track, but hopefully we'll have the same track as we had last year, and a lot of guys have some good notes to go by. Last year being our first year, there's a few things that personally I know I found towards the end of the season that had I had a couple of years, it would have been nice to have all those notes. But yeah, I think Jimmy sounds like he's confident and ready to go, ready to take on some of these young guys. You know, we got some of them 20-year-olds coming out there. They figure that they're gonna set the world on fire. So you're gonna have to show them a way around that track, Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, live up to my name, be one of the hardest people to pass, so I'm told.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
No.
No.
I always thought, okay, you're giving me a compliment. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, you deserve it. But yeah, like I said, you're the benchmark. If you can beat a guy that's been out there for 46 years and won that many races, you're really doing something. So it's cool it's really cool to have a picture next to Jimmy Jones that you can hang on the wall, because even though you're very humble, but you are a legend. So it was a pleasure racing against you, and it's a pleasure knowing you and having you as a friend. So I just can't wait to get back out there and shoot the breeze with you in the pits and see how things are going.
Yes, I can't wait to get out there too. That'll mean that the weather's nice.
Yep. All right, so we're just looking at pictures here from your 2021 season. I guess you came into 2021 with I guess you would have practiced in 2020 a little bit, but I mean, you got the different track configuration and all that good stuff. Talk about that a little bit going on. I mean, you've been racing forever on the same type of track, and then all of a sudden it changed a little bit. What was the learning curve for an older fellow like you, Jimmy? Did you pick it up pretty quick, or did it take you a little while to get used to it?
Quicker than I thought I would. Because I was so used to that D shape that I thought that was just go out there, you're going to go around a D. But no, it was like it's almost like it's actually an easier track to drive around than what the D was, because the corners are pretty similar to one another, and the banking, it helps hold you in. So no, it wasn't a real big transition. Like once the car had its good setup in it, it was like you could get out there and just go. So it was kind of fun. Like you could feel the extra speed. That took a little bit getting used to, knowing that you were going into the corner that much quicker yet going in because of the longer straight, it seemed like. But I don't know what else really to say about it. But yeah, it was I like it. I like the new track.
Awesome. And 2021, that wasn't a bad season for you. I mean, you got a heat win. You've been racing for however many years, and you're still winning races. There's nothing wrong with that. That was awesome to see. I mean, to me, that's a great season, right? As long as you've been racing and you're still winning races, that's a pretty good deal, right?
Yep. Yeah. Any win is a good win, and heck, just being out there and being competitive, that's what I still look forward to. Like, is just as long as I can still make somebody that's got all the fancy toys and newer stuff, make them work for it. Well, I had a good night.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so now we got a sneak peek of the 2022 paint scheme here. Talk about what's coming up for the 2022 season for Jimmy Jones. Are you all ready to go? What's going on over the shop over there?
Yeah, all ready to go. Cars, of course, all lettered up and all. I had her running there a week ago Tuesday that just passed, like, and just to make sure everything was sounding okay, and she's all set up, ready for that. So it's just a matter. I just got to do a little more tire prep before I hit the track and ready to go.
Awesome. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
What does it says? Grandpa's slingshot is broken. What does that mean?
Well, as the last quite a few years, you've seen on the back wing where it says shake and bake.
Yeah.
Well, that's that plus the one that's on the front end is off of the same movie.
Okay.
Like the Ricky Bobby thing.
Okay.
Where, him and his partner were shake and bake. And then, the slingshot thing is where they would say slingshot is engaged. And then,
Okay.
right? And they would come out from one behind the other and pass the car in front. Well, mine's
Yeah.
broken because I don't have that partner to do that.
Yep. My wife thinks my slingshot's broken too.
See, that's a good thing.
before we get way off track here, let's
Yeah.
carry on, gentlemen. Let's be good here. This is a family show. Jimmy, I guess I would like to know what kind of advice would you have for a young driver, a rookie driver coming into the late models, just starting out? What kind of advice would you have for a young driver coming into the late models this 2022 season?
Well, if you're going to go racing, learn as much about everything as you possibly can to try to keep your expenses down. Because, like, to say that you're going to always have somebody just hop in and help you or fix this for you or do that, that's not going to happen. So the more you know about everything that goes on, like repair-wise, welding, if you don't know how to do these things, learn them. You'll be way far better off that way. Plus, it's more rewarding if you do everything and fix everything and you can actually get out there and win. You got yourself to thank. So
Yeah, for sure. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier that Jimmy is the all-in. He's the package deal. He does it all. And a lot of the older guys are that way. They just know everything. And yeah, you got
everything.
there's a lot to learn. We're
Yeah.
talking about nowadays we used to scale a car and you just about did that every week, but now you scale it at the beginning of the year and the rest is done with a spring smasher, and there's certain numbers that you're looking for, and changing a spring here or shock there, and how much technology there is out there as far as shocks are concerned, and tires. Jimmy was talking about prepping tires. That's become such a big thing now. We never used to do that. We never used to grind tires and pay so much attention to them like we do now. But it's a big part of it. And Jimmy is what he's saying is that that's something you got to learn and you got to do it. And it's time consuming, but when it's done and the gratification you get knowing that what you did made that car turn that much better is very gratifying. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll turn it back over to Craig.
All right, Jimmy, favorite racing memory through all these years? What's one of your favorite racing memories, would you say?
Well, I think I mentioned it was, like I say, back in '84 there, when I was the only one that stayed ahead of that Ron Harrington from Brighton. But then there's so many. Almost every night that I hit the racetrack is a great memory. Like, I'm doing what I love to do and I'm surrounded by people that I love, and a bunch of friends. Like those are my friends. That's my thing, like, but like to say to pick out one specific memory, it's hard to do that because I like it pretty much. Like there's the odd one you don't like the memory, but for the most part, it's all good. It's all good memories.
Awesome. Well, that's actually really great to hear. Now, as far as people helping you out, do you have some sponsors that you'd like to thank real quick?
Yeah, well, the sponsors that I have are, well, I got Loop Tech where I work there. I got Jack Smith's Fuels there, and I have J and D. It's actually J and DJ Trucking. I don't know why that's backwards on there, but that's my longtime friend, and he puts into a lot of money to help me out through the year. We have Simply Vinyl Signs and Graphics. I see it says vinyl, but Vinyl Signs and Graphic. That's the guy that's been doing my lettering on the car, trying to make it look pretty since 2012. We got Okie Dokie Clothing Company. There's the ones that if people are going to want swag, that's who we get that done through. Then, I got to thank my crew, like my wife, daughter Shauna, her husband Josh, Dave Johnson, which is the D of the J&D. And then we got a couple new ones that came aboard last year. It was Jessie and her boyfriend Nick. And then this year we got Steve and Fish joining the team. And we got Richard Ainsworth. So, yeah, and then if I were to have a party where any crew member I ever had throughout the years, I think I could fill the old Kinsman Auditorium with just crew people throughout the years. So it's a whole, to remember them all and to mention them all. Well, we'd be here until tomorrow night this time. So, but yeah, that's the sponsors and the crew this year anyways.
Awesome. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
No, other than it's just one of the really cool things about doing this fan zone thing is that we get to find out all this about you, Jimmy, and a lot of the people don't know some of this stuff. So it's just really neat to have you on here and mentioning your sponsors and the people who have helped you out. But the average person to see the 34 out there and Jimmy Jones, I mean, they've heard your name so many times, but now just to hear you talk about racing and everything, this gives a whole new dimension to stock car drivers, and I'm just glad that you took the time to come on here with us. It's good to hear all that, Jimmy.
Well, it's been my pleasure.
Yeah, for sure.
Nervous leading up to this, but it's good. I'm not one of those microphone people, so.
Well,
you did a great job.
Yeah, you really did, Jimmy, and we really appreciate you joining us. It's been a lot of fun. We like talking to the older drivers, the new drivers too, but we like hearing the older stories too. So we really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. We wish you all the best of luck in 2022 season at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway in the number 34 late model.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Good night, Jimmy.
All right, Robert, there we go. Now we know a lot more about Jimmy Jones.
Yep. Yeah, there's Jimmy. It's nice to know. I know how hard it is to, when I mentioned washing the car, and it takes a good 4 hours and sometimes more by the time you take the doors off and the fenders off and wash all the dirt down before you can start working on them. And it just takes a lot of time. When Jimmy mentions that he does the tires and stuff, that can take you a whole night to do. So there's a lot of maintenance that goes on, and there's a lot of guys out there with great big crews. But Jimmy probably has there's probably half a dozen people that help him out, and I know that Brenda was talking about unloading the car. How that's a really important thing to have somebody, especially when you're trying to unload it. And these cars are a little bit wider; they're in the enclosed trailer, and you got to watch the fenders and everything. just to have somebody with their finger on the button is very helpful. I know that's what happened to me. I would I'd have to have Kathy help me, or one of the girls help me. And so when Jimmy says those things, I mean, I can identify with that. I know what that's like. And then you got to think about all the normal maintenance you do, checking all your lashing your valves and just checking all the hind joints and making sure nothing's broken. It takes a lot of time to do that. And I know, and that's kind of what I mentioned, that Jimmy does a lot of that stuff on his own. So, and he's like me. He's 62 years old, so you can't do things as fast as you used to when you were younger. So, I mean, I wish I could still do it. And the fact that he's doing it is and he's done it since 1976. I mean, before he even started racing, I was out there watching Jimmy race at the old Raceland Speedway. So it was really cool talking to Jimmy tonight. He is a hero to a lot of people out there. He's a true gentleman, and yet he's very humble about his racing accomplishments. So really good guy to talk to.
Yep, absolutely. And he's a popular guy. He won the 2022 Best Appearing contest that we had in the Southern Ontario Motor Speedway Fan Zone group. So he did a really good job there, getting people in invites and everything. So he's a pretty popular guy. And this has been a very entertaining story. Like I say, I love talking to the older guys here and all the older stories and stuff like that. I mean, I was born in 82 and he started racing in 76. So it's nice to learn what things happened before I came into this earth. But anyways, if you drivers want to jump on here and you want to tell your story, just like Jimmy Jones and all the other ones have in the past, make sure you reach out to myself, Craig Smolders, or Angela Young-Bonner, and we will send you the link to get you signed up for that. We have lots of drivers signed up already, but we always want more. Old, young, new, it don't matter, male, female. We want you guys all on here, so make sure you're getting signed up. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. SOMSpotlgiht on YouTube. That's our YouTube channel. If you want to see all the interviews that we've had in the past, they're all up there. Don't forget to check us out at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway Fan Zone in Facebook. We're on there. We're checking out that's all the schedule and the events and the driver registration, all the stuff we have going on there. So make sure you're checking out all that. Next week, we are going to be joined by Aidan Maynard, mini stock driver of the 28. Aidan Maynard, he's going to join us next week. We're actually going to be doing that one on Sunday. It's not going to be live, and we will air it on Monday, but it won't be aired live. So make sure you're checking out all that. We got lots of stuff we're going to talk to Aidan about, so that should be a pretty good interview. We're looking forward to that. That's next Monday at 7 o'clock. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. As always, this has been Som Spotlight presented by Sun Parlor Trailers. My name is Craig Smolders. That's Rob Young. Goodbye.
Good night, everybody.